just in my kitchen. It's a beautiful rainy day. It's quite dark outside. Gungun's behind the camera. Hi, Gungun.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
You got your motorbike today, because so going home you're going to get wet, mate.
Yeah.
It's really quite loud, and it reminds me of my childhood actually, as it hits the tin roof. Can you hear it? It's pissing down, literally. I constantly get messages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Had one on Pinterest the other day about what's in my kitchen. And so today's journey is about what's in my kitchen and what it actually feels like to have a kitchen like this. And I really encourage you to take a deep breath and know that this is not judgmental or intimidating, or you should be like this, or this should be, how every kitchen should be. It's more of a dance with food and why I do the things that I do, because of the information that I know. So this is Gungun's going to follow me around, so you're going to see kind of all aspects of the studio, so you can kind of understand how it works. So I'm going to go to this area first, and a lot of people ask me about my sink. And this is an Indonesian, very, very old antique Indonesian heating device. And so what they do is they put a fire underneath it, and they get the coconut palm sugar, and they boil it in here, and they mix it. And this is how you make coconut sugar in one of these. And my friend Nathan and I, he drilled a hole in the bottom of it and put to make it into a sink. So this is what this is. It looks like a really big wok, and it's actually, you can move it. It's actually quite heavy, but you can move it and everything. And so that's my sink, because a lot of people ask me about that. This is just a bit of copper that I scored off the side of the road somewhere. And I got a friend of mine just to make it into a tap, and I just got this little bit from a hardware store, and the actual opening and closing thing is an old, I don't know, like I don't even know if they can buy them anymore, an old situation. So that's kind of my sink area. And this is the cleaning products I use. So I use Thieves to wash my hands. So this sits here, and it's one of those soapy situations. Smell. It smells amazing. Thieves is great. It's really, really, really good stuff, and it lasts a long time. And so I buy this, and then I buy the refill, and I just top it up, and I get a whole year, if not more, out of this whole situation. And then everything that I'm cleaning my kitchen is with this. Everybody asks me, what do you clean your kitchen with? I use this. I put this much in there. This has been over a year, by the way. I've only used this much. It's good. That's good. I love that music, actually. That mosque sound, yeah? This has been a year, and this is how much I've used. This much goes in the bottle, and this much goes in this much water. Everything. It's just my all-purpose cleaning situation. So for those that are constantly asking me what I use, that's what I use. Normally I have a fridge here, but I've got a friend staying at the moment who's on the couch over there, and it's a bit loud, so we put it in the next room. But I always have water, good quality water, on tap, and I always have my love tea. I know, right? Everybody says, what tea do you drink? And I never used to drink tea, but I do now. I drink this brand of tea. It's called Love Tea. They've got sleep, they've got detox, they've got digest, they've got a licorice love tea, and a white and rose goji. It's kind of my go-to teas. It's so cool. Okay, so this area here, people freak out and they go, you've just got so much stuff. Well, a lot of it's from the op shop. So I encourage you all, when you're starting to build your kitchen, is go to an op shop and find, or a school fete or somewhere like that. And if you're in America, an op shop is called an opportunity shop, where there's secondhand stuff in there, and it's like this treasure trove of glory. So a lot of this stuff is from the op shop. I've got mainly stainless steel, incredible bits of wood for chopping board. And then I've got my chocolate molds, which I got online, and you can do this. So if you look for chocolate molds, you'll see chef's ones that are really hard and sturdy for tempering chocolate. So have a look online for those. My girlfriend Mel got me these. And then I've got my Glad wrap. A lot of people ask me about this. Trust me, I know. I hope this is helpful for you, because it's a really cool thing to explain. So I use plastic wrap like everybody else does. This is a multi I call it a multi-purpose Glad wrap. It's made from sugarcane. And what's really cool about it is that it's vegetable-based, it's recyclable, it's sustainable, it's BPA free. It's kind of like the best choice. It's called Super Wrap. And it's super cool. And it's a bioplastic. And it's kind of like, it's made from sugarcane, which is, you know, just great for your food, but it's also great for the planet. So it's kind of like the all-round kind of thing. It's, you know, it's just a great one to have. So that's my plastic wrap, my Glad wrap. Then I love If You Care, this brand. It's so cool. If You Care are like, they're a compostable, certified, unbleached, you know, totally chlorine-free baking paper. I love it. If you read the back of it, it tells you the energy that it takes to produce paper, and so these guys are using sustainable rainforests and regenerative soil and stuff like that to make their products. And I also use foil. Yes, I know people freak out when I use foil, but don't. It's okay. I'm using foil. That's me. This is my choice. If you don't want to, don't. But I use this foil, which is 100% recyclable aluminium foil. And what it means is the energy saving on this is 95% on the environment. I know, right? It's kind of huge. And it's recycled in the sense that it's not made from scratch. So more energy it takes to make it from scratch than it does recycling it. So that's cool. And then I have my baking cupcake thing, which is the same brand, You Care. And they come in different sizes. And they're great. Like I said, unbleached and all the things. So that's that. That's cool. And then I have my cookbooks. Now, the sort of cookbooks I buy are the ones with pictures in them. I need to look at pictures. I need to feel what it feels like to make the food. So my stand-alone cookbooks, which I absolutely adore, I've got some key players up here, which is Sarah Owen's sourdough one, which is an amazing cookbook. It's just incredible. And I've also got the Raw Transformation, which was one of the first books I bought way back in the day. I always put a date on my cookbooks as well. This one's 2011. So that's kind of a thing that makes me reference back to where I was at in my career. A few of the other standalone cookbooks that I have are Matthew Kenny, who I studied with in LA. I love Matthew Kenny. Google him. He's amazing. And then I have Thug Kitchen, which I just love. Thug Kitchen is like real vegan swearing. It's amazing. And then I have the chef's books, which are chefy things, which you're probably not interested in. They're more technical stuff. So my cookbooks always are around me. If they're not up here, they're in my office desk. They're just around me a lot because it really brings me to be inspired. I'm not a big one at Googling a recipe. I'm not a big one of following other people. I don't know, like someone said to me the other day, oh, you don't follow a lot of people. I was like, no, I follow like Oprah and, you know, Deepak Chopra and, you know, sustainability and Feed the Planet and things like that. So I don't follow a lot of bloggers or influencers and stuff like that. So cookbooks are kind of my way of feeling influenced, and I really love the fact that they're in my kitchen and I don't have to go outside of my kitchen to get a cookbook. So I think that's a huge plus. So the jars have no labels. Fucking painful. Trust me. My friend Carl is here at the moment and I said, oh, don't buy cacao. Just use what I've got. He goes, I don't know where anything is. And this is the awakening that I've created in myself, because what it does with the labels, having no labels on anything, it forces me to think. It's crazy, I know, and it's painful, but it forces me to recognize and to smell and to think. And what happens, it just keeps my memory and my food memory alive, which is so important as a chef. So I take the stuff out of, which I'm buying in bulk, and I put it in the glass jars. And the glass jars I recommend are the clip ones with the actual rubber situation on here. Like they just hold in, like lock in all the isms so none of the air gets in, because air makes things go off. So on my actual situation here, it's challenging because sometimes I don't know what's what and what's in what, and it really forces me. One of the key things that I have in my kitchen, and this is like, you know, my thing, but I just think it's so important, is to have ferments. I have a lot of ferments here. I've got sauerkraut and pickles, preserved lemon. I've got cultured cheese. I've got, my probiotic, my Pro B and my Pro B plus. I have a lot of ferments around me. I just love them. And these recipes are in my class, one of my cooking classes, so go online and have a look at that. It's an eat class. We eat, it's vegan, it's gluten-free, it's amazing, and it teaches you how to make all that. So I have them there on tap, and I might not eat these for 6 months, or I might not eat these for 2 weeks, but they're there and they last. And when I do open them, I store them in the fridge. So ferments always around me. What else is always around me here? I love, come over here, Gun. I love having my knives on tap here. It's super important so I can reach them. And all my utensils that I have here, most of them are from an op shop, once again, and most of them are from my family home. So this, not that I have a lot of canned food in my life, but this is the same can opener my family had when I was 18. And it has my dad's name on it. And so it's just having things like that around me that I have on tap. Now, one of the key things here is a knife sharpener. It's really important. It's a diamond head steel, and I have it hanging there, and every time I cook, I always sharpen my knife, and I encourage you to do that. So a diamond head steel and a really good quality knife, like a Damascus steel, which is a Japanese knife, right? Super important, and it just creates so much ease in the body when you've got a sharp knife. So always have that sitting right there so I can grab it. I don't have any drawers. You know when you put all this stuff in the drawer and you've got like at my mum's house, she's got all this shit in there and you can't find anything. I don't have that because that creates anxiety for me. So what my suggestion to you at home, if you're up for it, and I've done this in my other kitchen, I've got another kitchen over there with all my stock in it. I've got a screwdriver and I've taken off the actual doors of the pantry. Yep, so now I can go in there and I can see what's in there. And this is an easy thing to create. This is an old bookshelf that my girlfriend Donna helped me search. It's an antique actually, and this is my kitchen. Now if I didn't have this, and I had an island bench, and I had like the stove, and I had pantries, I would take the doors off the pantry, and so then you become one with your food. I know, trust me. I've got a whole pile of goodies just here. I've got glass straws, because I love them, and I think they're wonderful. I've got tasting wooden spoons. A lot of people ask me where I get these long little wooden spoons from. And I get them from Asia actually, and I've seen them in Australia at certain stores. And I always have little knives on tap. And these are super sharp little knives when I'm wanting to use or make something kind of really small and I need a little knife instead of a big knife. They're just kind of there on tap. And then I have some tweezers. So when I'm doing some stuff for photo shoots, we've got tweezers. I've got kitchen scissors. And I've got all these little plastic spatulas, which are great to have when you've got a little bowl of something and you want to scoop all those bits out. And it's just right here. I've got wooden spoons and lots of microblades. Is that what they're called? Yeah, microplanes, sorry. Lots of microplanes. And microplanes are a chef's tool. And there's different ones. They're like graters. And some of them are fine. Some of them are thicker. Some of them are wider. Some of them are long, just depends. Like I just love them and I have so many of them. And then I have wooden spoons, which I cook with and use. And then I have my salt and my pepper right here in front of me, always. And one thing about my salt, which is super important, is I change my salt all the time. So this is a local salt, which is just beautifully sun-dried. It's gone through no processing at all. And as soon as that finishes, I'll go on to, say, a pink salt. And I've got a little grater here where you can just grate that onto your food and it just kind of sits there. Now, as soon as that salt's finished, come over here, Gun. Let me show you. I know you've got to sneak in here sometime. So when that salt's finished, I've got some black Kayal salt from India. I know, right? It's all kind of Himalayan-ish kind of vibe. And then when that finishes, I've got all these different salts in here. And then I'll use them because I have this theory that every part on the world has a different fault line and a different mineral component. So every part of the world I try and get different salts. It's weird, I know. I can't help it. And then when that finishes, I've got some salt here that I saw before. I've got some black charcoal salt from Greece, which is so good and so delicious. And it just tastes amazing, and it's light, and it's not salty at all, but the Himalayan's really salty. So that's telling me that I feel like there's a different mineral line there. So changing your salt is super important. Super, super important. Pepper. I always grind my own pepper. So I have my own peppercorns here, which I buy in bulk, and I grind them myself. So why would I do that? Because I'm in control of the grinding process, and I'm seeing how fine I wanted to get it, and going from this to grinding is really super fresh, and it has a lot more potency to it. And I swap this out with black and white peppercorns. So when I have different, like if I'm making curry paste or anything, if you notice in my cooking classes, I'm using white pepper in the curry paste. It just has a different level of pepperiness to it. It's really quite extraordinary. So that's that. And then I have my spices. Now this is super interesting because if I just take a look here, right? I really have no idea what's what. But when I'm making a recipe, for some reason, because I'm so tuned into it, I know what paprika, sweet paprika, hot paprika, smoky paprika kind of looks like, because I'm used to the look of it. So that's igniting my memory, because normally I would pick it up and it would have smoky paprika, hot paprika, sweet paprika, and I'd be used to the name. And notice how I'm doing this around my brain, right? Because I'm used to the name, and what I'm doing, taking the label off, and now I'm used to the colour, and I'm starting to understand colour of spices. So putting things in jars away from the light, so there's no direct sunlight that comes into the studio, into this space. Finding out what's what by just opening and smelling. I know that's cayenne pepper straight away. I can just smell it, and I can know the colour of it. That is cayenne pepper. Now I know this is sweet paprika. I just know, right? And it's a sweetness to it. It just happens over time. And that's what I mean by no judgment and don't be intimidated, because it just takes time. So having your spices in jars, looking at them, really does force you to have a romance with them and to give you an opportunity to actually play with whole real food. Down here are my oils and some more spices. And the oils I have in my pantry are olive oil, coconut oil, and I have, on the odd occasion, a rice bran oil. And sometimes, if I remember, I'll get avocado oil or macadamia nut oil or something like that, or walnut oil just to have. But I don't, majority of the time, I only use those three oils I just mentioned. Oh, and I have toasted sesame seed oil as well for flavour. Then I have my vinegars. I have kombucha vinegar. So when my kombucha goes over time and I've forgotten about it, it goes into a vinegar, I use that as a vinegar. I have apple cider vinegar and balsamic vinegar, and they're my vinegars. And my sweeteners are maple syrup and honey is my liquid sweeteners. And I always have on tap here in the corner a balsamic reduction, which is in one of my cooking classes, gluten-free at home, and it just sits there for months and months, and it goes on salads. It's just there. I know I have it. I'm in control of it. I know the sugar that went in there, it was coconut sugar, and I know the balsamic that went in there is a good quality balsamic. So these are once again all around me and know what's going on. So if I open, say, no judgment to my mum, if I open my mum's cupboard, it's just full of like canned stuff and this and bottled sauces. This is it. This is all I have. And from there, extraordinary things can happen. And this is what the cooking class is about. It's about giving you an opportunity to dive into doing this stuff, very basic, on a really beautiful, solid human level. My pots and pans. So I love cast iron. I think it's beautiful. This is a paella pan from my friend Chef Diego, which is super awesome. I haven't used it yet, but he's used it. He loves it. He's Spanish. It's his thing. I'm going to use it one day with something. But I love cast iron, okay? I think cast iron is quite amazing. Now, this one is from the op shop, and this one is from an op shop, so an opportunity shop. This one is Solid Tech. Google them. They're really good. They're really quite amazing. So Solid Tech is Australian. It's a startup company. They sent me this pan. I'm stoked with it. I love it. It's amazing. And then down here on the floor, I have stainless steel. All stainless steel and a stainless steel wok. And that's my kind of pots and pans. And then I have some cast iron big trays just here. It's making sense, I know, right? And that's kind of how I dive into it. And then over here, I've got some copper stainless steel pots as well. So that's kind of like the cooking part of things. Now with the equipment, I use a Vitamix, this one here. Vitamixes are the best, they last forever. They're a great tool. Like, they give me one nearly every 2 years and I'm like, don't give them to me anymore. I've got so many, but they're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. I have them in my cafe, I use them, they're amazing. I suggest you get one. They're a one-off purchase. You never have to worry about it again. I use a Magimix food processor. I don't really care, actually, if it's... That's okay. It's good that you fell over. Yeah. I don't really care that it's a Magimix, as long as the blade goes around and it's sharp and it has a grater blade and all the other things that come with it. I'm not fussed, but this one is a Magimix, which is awesome. I have a juicer. I'm not a big juicer person. I'm a green juicer person, if anything. So I've got this gorgeous juicer. What's the brand of this? I can't even remember. Oh, it's a Cuvings. It's a Cuvings, and I've had it for years. It's there. I've got an ice cream machine, a Breville ice cream machine, because I think, why wouldn't you have one, you know? Because you can make ice cream on tap. I've got a KitchenAid, which does all my like paste baking and stuff like that. And I think that, once again, it doesn't matter that you don't have that. It's okay that if you don't worry about it. But a lot of people say to me, what do you use when you're making bread? What do you use when you're making cupcakes? I use that. You can use a handheld mixer. I've got a Vitaclay. A Vitaclay is a clay steamer. They're beautiful. You can do stews and soups, rice, cook rice in it. It just doesn't have the Teflon. I think they're great. I love it. I've got a set of scales, a digital set of scales. I think that's really important to have in the kitchen. And that just sits there until I'm ready to use it. I've got a mandolin. It's another piece of equipment that I love. Mandolins are great. You know when you go to the sushi tray and you get that really fine cabbage? It's done with this machine. I know, right? It's just epic. Epic, epic, epic machine. So a little mandolin. It doesn't matter what brand it is. This is just a Japanese mandolin, it says. What else do I have? I have got quite a lot of plates and bits and pieces that are all mixed under here. A lot of people ask me about wood. Do I like to use wood more than I like to use steel? I'm a fan of wood, absolutely, but I also like to have my beautiful pottery and bits and pieces that I find out there in the world. Spoons and forks and whatnot. You'll notice there's not a lot of knives in here. It's kind of forks over knives. In other words, I'm not a meat eater right now, so I don't use knives. And what I mean by right now, it means like I am what I am right now, and I'm open to all things because I think food's amazing. It has its gift. What else? What else? I think that's about it. I love a fan-forced oven. I think that's really important to have something fan-forced because it allows the heat to just distribute it when you're baking. I'm not a great baker. I wish I was better. But I need a fan-forced oven, so fan-forced ovens are good. What else? I think that's about it. Yeah. If you're living in a unit or a flat or like a condo, whatever you want to call it, a tiny space, which I was in with my girlfriend Courtney, and Courtney, if you're watching, you know exactly what I did. We took the actual doors of the whole kitchen, all the parts of it, and we had everything on tap. And I basically did this in a tiny little kitchen, and I'm talking tiny bench space, like this much, not 3 meters of bench space, tiny. And we still managed to have food around us. And it really does spark an interest in your cooking journey, because I truly believe that when we cook at home, we're investing in our health, because we're in control of the oil, the salt, the sugars, the acid, and the heat. And when we have that time cooking at least one meal a week, something extraordinary happens to us. We start to have a deeper understanding and joy of the human body internally. So if you're watching this and you're like, got kitchen envy, thank you. And if you're watching this and you've got kitchen envy and you want to do this, you can do this. You just got to take those doors off. And if you're watching this thinking, this is fucking intimidating, and I don't think I actually want to do this, don't do it. Just start with one step at a time. Like, make one thing at a time. It's like with me, having roasted seeds to put on my salad is one thing, right, to add to my whole foods journey. And I've done those seeds myself. I've just put them in the oven and roasted them and brought them out. They're in this jar, so when I want that crunch, I have it on tap. So that's my kitchen situation today in the beautiful rain with Gungun behind the camera. There's nothing to eat today, Gungun. I'm so sorry. You're probably starving by now because we've been here all day, haven't we? See you next time. Bye.